काफी बड़ा परिवार है मेरा, यही संसार है मेरा। हर दिन मेरी कोशिश है इसे हरा भरा रखने की, कुछ कोशिश घर को मजबूत बनाने की, कुछ कोशिश घर को जीता जागता बनाने की, कुछ कोशिश बड़ों की सेवा की, कुछ कोशिश छोटों को बड़ा बनाने की, कुछ कोशिश नई दिशाएं दिखाने की, कुछ कोशिश उत्साह जगाने की। देश नाम है मेरे संसार का, इंडिया नाम है मेरे परिवार का, टाटा कोशिश जिम्मेदारी निभाने की।
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tata Crucible, the Campus Edition 2022. It's time for us to get started. Please welcome your host, Ms. Rashmi Furtado.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to each and every one of you to Tata Crucible Campus Quiz 2022. This is Rashmi Furtado and we are well into the journey of this new season of this quiz. We have completed 14 clusters already, which means we have identified 14 winners who have made it through to their respective zonals. And now we are moving on into the 15th cluster. We have 24 clusters in total, and each of the cluster consists of 2 wildcards and 1 cluster final. And over the past couple of years, in the digital avatar of this quiz, it has been extremely popular with over 7 million viewership that we have had on the internet. That's how wonderful this quiz has been. But now it's time for us to get into the first wildcard of this 15th cluster, which is the cluster from Uttar Pradesh. So let me quickly introduce our finalists to you from the wildcard 1 of this cluster and then move into the rules of the game. Let me start by introducing our finalists to you. Our first finalist of the day is Monica from BIMTech Noida. Following her is Pradunma from IIT Kanpur. Up next is Pragyansh from BU Jhansi. Following him is Swarn from HPTU Kanpur. Following him is Kaustubh from MNNIT Allahabad. And completing our lineup here today is Nitin from IIM Lucknow. Unfortunately, Pragyansh couldn't join us here today for some unforeseen circumstances. But like I always say, the show must go on. And we will continue with the 5 finalists who are with us here today. Rules of the game, ladies and gentlemen. 10 questions is what I have for them. All the questions are on the buzzers. Single attempt per question only. Scoring pattern would be +1 if they get it right, -1 if they get it wrong. Top 3 scorers among the 5 of them will qualify into that cluster final. The wildcards are qualifier round, so it's all about qualifying into that cluster final. I keep reminding our quizzers this all the time because sometimes they get carried away by wanting to win a quiz, and that's what happens even when they get into a wildcard. So we need to remind them sometimes on what their ultimate goal is when it comes to a wild card. Rest of the rules have been explained to them already, but the fair play protocols are right there on your screen, which are followed very, very strictly when it comes to Tata Crucible. All our finalists are also aware of these fair play protocols. The audience who are watching us here today, the buzzer indicator light will not be appearing for you, but I will let you know who has pressed the buzzer. Time for us to get into the wild card, ladies and gentlemen, and identify our top 3 scorers who will make it into the cluster final. It's time for us to identify our top 3 scorers who will make it into the cluster final, ladies and gentlemen. The first question of the wild card, here we go. Larry Page was the founder of which one of these companies? Pradunma on the buzzer. Go ahead, Pradunma.
So Larry Page was the founder of Google.
Getting a +1 on that is Pradunma, +1 on that. The first question and he gets it right. Google was the answer I was looking for. Moving on to question number 2. Here we go. Which of these delivery apps is funded by Google? Your options, Swiggy or Pradunma again. Go ahead.
Dunzo is funded by Google.
+1 to you. Absolutely right. Dunzo, the answer I was looking for. Google has invested or funded Dunzo some time ago. If I'm not wrong, I think in the last 2 years is when this happened. Don't hold me on that. Let's move on to question number 3. Which of the following options is used by companies to provide stability to the price of their share price in the secondary market immediately on listing? Your options, qualified institutional placement or green shoe option. No one going on this one, ladies and gentlemen. No one wants to take the risk. All right, time is up. 5-second rule is in place. Time is up. The answer I was looking for is qualified institutional placement. Sometimes we do have some complicated questions that come in. It's not always easy to breeze through even a wild card. Let's move on. Question number 4. Municipal bonds are issued when a government body wants to raise funds for infra-related projects. Who detailed the guidelines in 2015 for the urban local bodies to raise funds by these bonds? Your options, SEBI or NSE. Swarn, go ahead.
I believe it is SEBI.
+1 on that. Good answer by Swarn. They're getting a +1 on that. SEBI is what I was looking for as an option. I thought the logical choice that someone would go into would be NSE, but he was smart enough and he took the right choice for that one. Let's move on to question number 5. Which of these is a book authored by Peter Drucker? Your options, The Changing World of the Executive or The 5 a.m. Club. Pradunma, go ahead.
I believe it's the changing world of the executive.
+1 to you. Absolutely right. If I understood his body language correctly, he played with the rule of elimination, if I'm not wrong. He knows who's written the 5 a.m. Club and he removed it out of the choices. Good work there by Pradunma. He gets a +1 on that and is already on 3 points. Very good and safe place to be when it comes to a wild card. Let's now move on to question number 6. According to this concept, an aging population can help the economy. Identify the concept. Your options, old wine economy or longevity dividend. Old wine economy. Kaustubh, go ahead.
Longevity dividend.
+1 on that. He's absolutely right. Longevity dividend, the answer I was looking for. Moving on to question number 7. Which company name is derived from an Urdu word meaning servant? It's a footwear company. Footwear company for an answer. All right, no one going on the buzzer. The 5-second rule is applied in this case. The time's up. The answer I was looking for, ladies and gentlemen, is Khadim. Khadim is what I was looking for as an answer. That's a footwear brand, a well-known footwear brand actually, and that comes from the Urdu word meaning servant. Moving on to question number 8. Who has established a comprehensive digital payment index to record the degree of digitization of payments in India? Your options, Niti Aayog or RBI. Nitin, go ahead.
I think it is Niti Aayog.
Oh, taking a negative on this one is Nitin. The answer I was looking for is RBI. Takes a negative on this one. Last 2 questions remaining, ladies and gentlemen. Let me quickly tell you where our contestants stand. As of now, Pradunma is holding on to his lead with 3 points. Even if he ends up taking negatives in the next 2 questions, he has still made it through. But if I have understood the quizzers right, I think he has secured his slot and now he's going to sit back and enjoy the game. And I have Swarn and Kaustubh both on +1 each. Nitin just took a negative, but there are 2 more questions. It's still possible for him to negate the -1 and then get a +1 and force a tiebreaker. Monica also has a chance here. If she scores in the next 2 questions or even one, she can force a tiebreaker. Let's see what happens. Moving on to question number 9. Which of these was the first private sector company of India inaugurated by our first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru? Your options, LIC or Atul. Monica, go ahead.
It's LIC.
Oh, taking a negative is Monica. I thought there were huge clues. I said private sector. I thought Atul would have been a logical answer. I think she did not catch that when I asked the question. Taking a negative, the answer I was looking for is Atul. Moving on, the last question of this wildcard. Here we go. On March 30th, 2017, who approved the Maternity Benefit Act, which was basically an amendment to that act, which provides 26 weeks paid maternity leave for women employees? Your option, Pranab Mukherjee or Ramnath Kovind. All right, no one going on. Kaustubh, go ahead in the nick of time.
Pranab Mukherjee.
Plus one on that. Absolutely right. Pranab Mukherjee, the answer I was looking for. Guys, I said 2017. Even if you have a slight indicators on the duration of when both of these people were presidents of our country, you should have been able to work it out. Getting a plus one on that is Kaustubh. Time for us to know who has qualified into that cluster final, ladies and gentlemen. With 3 points, Pradunma from IIT Kanpur has won the wild card and also qualified into that cluster final. Joining him are Kaustubh with 2 points from NIT Allahabad and Swan with 1 point from HPTU Kanpur, also joining Pradunma and Kaustubh into that cluster final. But like I always say, ladies and gentlemen, time for us to binge in an audience question before we move on to the next wild card. Let me get the question for you. Here's your question. Borosil, the glassware giant from India, originally collaborated with which US glass major? Let me repeat that one for you. Borosil, the glassware giant from India, originally collaborated with which US glass major? Whichever platform you're watching this quiz on, try and go ahead, key in your answers in the chat box. I'm very sure you'll get it right. And if you're quick with your correct answers, you stand a chance to win exciting prizes. Join me in the second wildcard, ladies and gentlemen. We have to identify the other 3 contestants who will qualify into the cluster final. I will see you in the second wildcard.
आजकल किसी के पास टाइम ही नहीं है जी। अब ऐसे में कोई आपकी दवाइयां बिल्कुल समय से घर डिलीवर करे, अच्छा तो लगेगा ना जी।
वाह जी,
भरोसेमंद है जी। It's 1 mg।
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tata Crucible, the Campus Edition 2022. It's time for us to get started. Please welcome your host, Ms. Rashmi Furtado.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tata Crucible Campus Quiz 2022. This is Rashmi Furtado, and we are well into the journey of this new season of Tata Crucible. We have completed 14 clusters already, 24 clusters in all, and each of the cluster consisting of 2 wildcards and 1 cluster final. Completing 14 clusters means we have identified 14 winners who have qualified into their respective zonal finals. So we are inching closer into those big zonal finals that are coming up, and then of course the national final. But we still have to complete some more cluster finals before we get there. Today we are going to be continuing with the second wild card of the 15th cluster, which is the cluster from Uttar Pradesh. Let me introduce our cluster finalists to you and then move into the rules of the game. Our first finalist for the day is Piyush from IIM Lucknow. Following Piyush is Ripala from IIT Varanasi, Shaurya from VIT, Ankit from ABESCE Ghaziabad, Tushar from GBU Noida, and completing our lineup here today is Dhanush from IMT Ghaziabad. Shaurya unfortunately couldn't join us here today, but the show must go on. So we have 5 finalists who are here with us today, and top 3 scorers among the 5 of them will qualify into that cluster final. The wild card is all about qualifying into that cluster final. That is the end game or the end goal here that all of them will have. Rules of the game, ladies and gentlemen, 10 questions is what I have for them. Single attempt per question only. All the questions are on the buzzer. Scoring pattern is +1 if they get it right, -1 if they get it wrong. And like I mentioned earlier, top 3 scorers are the ones who will qualify into the cluster final. Rest of the rules and the fair play protocols are right there on the screen for you. The contestants have been briefed in detail about the rules already. So let's now move into the wild card itself. But before we get there, my dear audience, the buzzer indicator light will not be appearing, but I will let you know on who has pressed the buzzer. Time for us to move into the wild card, ladies and gentlemen. Contestants, may I request all of you to move your phones into camera angle, please? The phones are basically their buzzers. 10 questions in all, ladies and gentlemen. The first question of the second wild card from the 15th cluster. Here we go. Canon, as in the camera giant, originated from which country? Your options, China or Japan. Ripala, go ahead.
I think it's Japan.
+1 to you. Absolutely right. He gets a +1 on the first question. A very good start. +1, Japan, the answer I was looking for. Let's move on to question number 2. The water brand Bailey's or Bailey is from whom? Your options? Dhanush, go ahead.
Parley.
+1 on that. Parley or Parley Agro, actually the answer I was looking for, but I give it to you. +1 on that. Parley Agro, giving him a +1. Moving on to question number 3. In 2003, John Battelle and Alex Solkever first introduced this term to mean the dominance of a company over nearly all forms of informational commerce. What am I talking about? Your options, socialization or Googleization. Ripala, go ahead.
Googleization.
+1 to you. Absolutely right. Even if you didn't know the exact meaning of Googleization from what I described, you know what socialization means. You can very easily eliminate the answer that you know is not right. Let's move on to question number 4. Here we go. In 1981, at which location did TCS establish India's first dedicated software research and development center? All right, I'll help you out. Bengaluru or Pune? Ripala again, go ahead.
Is it Bengaluru?
Oh, he took the bait this time. Getting a negative on that is Ripala. The answer I was looking for is Pune. I put Bengaluru as an option there on purpose. I hoped one of you wouldn't fall for it, but you did. Taking a negative on that. Pune, the answer I was looking for. Moving on to question number 5. Which one of these is not a part of the Tata Group? Your options, Barista or Cumin. Tushar, go ahead.
Barista, is it?
+1 to you. Absolutely right. Barista is the answer I was looking for. Tata Cha, now Cumin, they have rebranded themselves as Cumin, is a relatively newer brand from the Tatas. Let's move on to question number 6. Here we go. Tata Power has its partnership with whom to offer easy and affordable financing scheme for MSME customers in the rooftop solar segment? Your options: SBI or SIDBI. SIDBI. However you want to pronounce. Tushar, go ahead. I'm sorry, Piyush. Piyush, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a second option, the SIBBI.
You need to tell me this thing properly.
Like it's the second option, SIBBI, I guess. Like the I'm
Plus
not sure
one.
of the pronunciation.
+1 to you. Absolutely right. SIDBI or SIDBI, the answer I was looking for. All right, he gets a +1 on that, ladies and gentlemen. Question number 7. VG Siddhartha was the founder of which coffee shop chain? Ripala, go ahead.
Cafe Coffee Day.
+1 to you. A quick buzz at this. I expected a quick buzz. Honestly, I think I would have felt bad if one of you had not gone on this one. Moving on, question number 8. Which tourist attraction in Singapore was once a prisoner of war camp? Your options: Genting Island or Sentosa. All right. 5-second rule, ladies and gentlemen. The time's up. The answer I was looking for is Sentosa, or the Sentosa Island. It's almost like an amusement park or tourist attraction today. And if I'm not wrong, Genting Island is in Malaysia. So I thought that would have been an easier elimination. Anyway, let's move on. Last 2 questions remaining, ladies and gentlemen. The scores as of now. I have Piyush, Tushar and Dhanush all on +1. Ripala on +2. He took a negative earlier, else he would have been on +3. But 2 points is also a good place to be at a wild card where we have only 2 questions remaining. Let's see what happens. The penultimate question of this wild card. Penultimate question, here we go. Fearless in Opposition is a book by which former finance minister? I'll help you out. Dr. Manmohan Singh or P. Chidambaram? Piyush, go ahead.
It's Dr. Manmohan Singh. Sorry, P. Chidambaram.
Give me one answer. Give me one answer.
P. Chidambaram. P. Chidambaram.
Taking a +1 on that is Piyush. He was quick to correct himself. He would have got a negative had he stuck to Dr. Manmohan Singh. P. Chidambaram is absolutely right. The last question of this wild card. This occurs following a recession as different parts of the economy recover at different rates, times or magnitudes. What am I talking about? Your options: K-shaped recovery or S-shaped recovery. All right. 5 seconds of time is up. No one going on this one. Nobody wants to take a risk. All right, the answer I was looking for is K-shaped recovery. A little bit of technical economics-based question here. K-shaped economy would have, or rather K-shaped recovery would have given one of them a +1. Well, time for us to take a look on who has made it through to the cluster final, ladies and gentlemen. With 2 points each, Piyush from IIM Lucknow and Ripala from IIT BHU have both made it through into the cluster final. Congratulations to the 2 of you. But now we are on a tiebreaker between Tushar and Dhanush, both of whom are on +1 each. There's only 1 slot that's remaining in the cluster final, and either Tushar or Dhanush will secure that spot. Let me quickly fetch my tiebreaker questions and then we will identify our third contestant who has made it through to the cluster final. The first tiebreaker question, here we go. Hashtag Jana Kahan Hai and We Cover India, 2 different campaigns. These are all campaigns of which company? Your options: LIC or Club Mahindra. Tushar, go ahead.
Club Mahindra.
Absolutely right. Getting a +1 on that is Tushar. And Tushar from GBU Noida with 2 points joins Ripala and Piyush in that cluster final. Congratulations to all of them. But ladies and gentlemen, like we always have had the audience question, now it's time for us to binge on one more. Your question, here we go. Originally called electrophotography, how do we know this today? Let me repeat that one for you. Originally called electrophotography, how do we know this today? Wherever you're watching this quiz on, go ahead and key in your answers in the chat box. You stand a chance to win exciting prizes if you're quick and correct. Thank you so much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. The cluster final is coming up and I have seen all the 6 contestants. I think this is going to be a good one and you will enjoy it. We will see you at the cluster final.
You gotta move it to the max. You gotta move it in the soul. You gotta move it, move it, move it. Move it to the back.
The new Nexon EV Max moves you to the max.
Friends, put your hands together to welcome on stage Quizmaster Big Brain.
A big hello and a warm welcome to each and every one of you. You're with me, Big Brain, here today at a big final of Tata Crucible for Campuses 2022. Well, as this digital juggernaut continues from one city to another, and this, of course, is the third of our digital editions as we progress from 20 to 21 to 22, we've had more than 7 million people watching Tata Crucible on the internet. And that is a staggering number over the last couple of years. 17 years ago, if someone had asked me at Bombay House, would you reach these kind of numbers? I'm honest, I wouldn't have even probably quoted a fraction of this as potentially numbers that people would watch a quiz in this country. But that defines the priority of young India today. Knowledge shows are something they love. Participation is in huge numbers. Comfort with technology has changed completely in the last 3 years. All of that has contributed to this immense growth at Tata Crucible. With us here today, ladies and gentlemen, at the Uttar Pradesh final of Tata Crucible, which is for us cluster number 15, we have 6 outstanding finalists from 6 illustrious institutes. They've gone through a fair bit with all the online rounds to cross, and then the 2 semi-finals, or the wild cards as we call it, with Rashmi Furtado, and now the final with me. One among these 6 will move into the nation's top 24. We've identified 14 champions so far. We're looking for our 15th champion from the largest state of this nation. Let me first begin by introducing them to you, but before that, let me quickly acquaint you with the rules of the game, not that you do not know if you've been following Crucible regularly. We've got 24 questions common to them, 75 the value of an answer, right or wrong. You get a plus or a minus. 5 seconds of time is the window of opportunity for them to answer, else the question lapses at 5 seconds of time, and I would be reasonably strict on enforcing that rule. They all understand and have agreed to the fair play protocols, which is truly appreciated. So time for us to meet who they are and start playing the Lucknow final of Tata Crucible for 2022 from the campuses of India. Qualifying as our first finalist here today, representing IIT Kanpur, we have with us Pradunma. Welcome to you. From HBTU Kanpur, representing them is Swarn. Welcome to you, Swarn. Moving across to Allahabad as our juggernaut of the journey moves, representing MNNIT is Kaustubh. Welcome, Kaustubh. Well, from Kanpur to Allahabad, we'll come now to Lucknow as we pick our next contender in Piyush, representing the Indian Institute of Management at Lucknow. Welcome to you. Neighboring him from IIT BHU and the sprawling campus from Varanasi is Ripala. Welcome, Ripala. And completing our lineup here today from GBU Noida in the final is Tushar. Welcome, Tushar. Illustrious institutes, extremely capable contenders. Trust me, it's going to be one hell of a final to find someone in the top 24. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. We've met our 6 finalists. Time for us to get started with the Uttar Pradesh final. It's a big state. It throws up some amazing contenders every year. It doesn't matter whether you're doing it on ground or you're doing it online. The contenders are from these super institutes. The game is about 3 things. It's about grit, it's about guts, it's about glory. That's the theme for this year's campus edition. Why grit, guts, and glory? The whole logic and philosophy is the future is going to require a lot of grit, a lot of guts, and that's what's going to give you glory. So minus of those two, it's going to be very difficult, which means success is going to be hard earned. Not that it was ever simple, it's only get even more complicated in a very complicated, unpredictable world, if I should say. So, the quiz is in a way a small gamified version to help you prepare for your future before you actually get there. Time for us to pick action on the first frontier here today. Having met our contenders, we'll see who's going to go through from here as our top 24 winner from Uttar Pradesh. For now, it's time to test them. For now, it's time to find your grit. Here it is. Time to get on with the first frontier. Time for the first question. If you could hold your buzzers up. All buzzers are activated. And we begin with the first frontier of our game here today. On the first question, on your screen, here it is. Whose insignia read Humata, Hukata, Vrashta? Some say it was their logo. It was more the insignia of which family from India? Yesteryear's world of business. Nobody going for it? Well, 5 seconds lapsing on that one. The 3 words actually meant good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. Well, they've certainly lived up to all the 3 of them for 150 years plus. The insignia of the Tata Group. Tough one to start the first one. Everyone's kicking themselves saying, yaar, kam se kam guess to Tata bolna chahiye tha. But anyway, that's how you get stumped sometime. Easy one in a way, but a beautiful one. As we go to the next one on your screens, here it is. Which company says, Desh ke liye 2 minutes? It's a beautiful camping. Ripala has gone for it from Varanasi. Yes, Ripala?
Nestle.
Well played. He'll get himself the first 75 here today. Nestle it is. Maggie was a big clue, unless people get confused on who owns Maggie. As we go to the next question on your screens, the third one here today, here it is. Which company owns Ninja Cart? Tushar's going for it. Yeah, Tushar?
Flipkart.
Well played. Absolutely well played. Flipkart it is. They basically decided to secure their own supply systems and led a 100 million round into Ninja Kart, and therefore they have a very good supply chain startup which is part of their entire business. Good answer, 75. As we go to the next one on your screens now. This is a recycling process definition of the lithium-ion batteries. Which company has pioneered this in India? Well, everyone's still talking of making lithium-ion batteries. This company has gone to say, how are we going to recycle it? Pradunma.
Is this Atero?
He'll get himself a -75 on that. The answer is very logical. Tata Chemicals, which will make the batteries for Tata Motors. And of course, our partner here is Nexon. It's such a fabulous way to take India forward to a more environmentally conscious and environmentally accountable future with electric vehicles. I personally drive one, so I do not speak without experience. It's a fabulous experience. As we move on from the world of Nexons from Tata Chemicals to the next question, fifth one in the first frontier, on your screen, here it is. It's one of the largest financial technology banks from which country? It's called the New Bank. Or which region of the world? No one going for a tough one there. Well, it's one of the largest. It's a quiet entity. Swaran, too late on that. Sorry. I lapsed the 5 seconds. The answer that I was looking for is Latin America. It's a Latin American giant which is taking over the world in financial technology banking. As we go to the final one, hands on the buzzer, early round here. Not much happening on the binge board, but I'll show you that at the end of this question. Yes, the final one. On your screen, here it is. Which country is this? Pradunma has gone for it. Yes, from IIT Kanpur.
Petrobras is from Brazil.
He's got that absolutely right, and he will negate the negative that he got, which is important for him. We will take a look at the binge board on the other side of this very quick break. Not much happening. No one's run away in the first round, so it's an early start. Pradunma has gained and lost, or rather lost and gained in that sequence, which is perhaps comforting for him to be back to where he started and not carry a negative forward. But all that on the other side of this break. Stay with us.
एक सजेशन दूं जी.
क्या जी?
अपने टाटा प्ले के साथ बिंज ऐप ले लो जी.
क्यों जी?
आपके फेवरेट ओटीटी एप्स एक ऐप पे जी. मतलब नो अलग अलग पेमेंट, सिर्फ 1 सब्सक्रिप्शन जी. और 12 एप्स के सारे कंटेंट इजी सर्च पे, मतलब नो ढूंढना, ओनली देखना जी.
मतलब टाइम ही टाइम जी.
थोड़ा हमारे लिए भी निकाल लेना जी.
अब टाटा प्ले के साथ लीजिए बिंज ऐप.
So ladies and gentlemen, we're still early days in this quiz here as we complete the first frontier, 2 of them on 75, I think. We'll take a look at where they stand on the binge board on the other side, of course. But before we get there, let me ask you a couple of audience questions, or let me start with one. You know what to do as you watch this quiz, wherever you're watching it. Key into those chat boxes. If you're quick and fast, you stand to win a prize. Here's my question to you. It's a nice one. All you youngsters from schools who are watching Tata Crucible in vast numbers, you can crack this. And these are places you might aspire to be at one day. We've all heard of places like Oxford, Stanford, Frankfurt, etc., with words ending with furt or ford. Why? Why or what does it symbolize in their names? Key in your answers and you could win a prize as we get back to this final. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're with me, Pig Brain, here today watching the Uttar Pradesh final of Tata Crucible for Campuses 2022. Huge state, huge talent, and well, it started off with a quiet set 8 where everyone playing it mature, It reflects the caliber of institutes and quizzing experience they would come with. Here's a look at the binge board. Nothing really emerging as early patterns. Rapala on 75, Tushar on 75, Pradunma losing 75 and gaining it back. So everyone playing quick and fast in this game, as did a couple in other cities, but this one looks really evenly distributed in terms of their calibers. The second frontier might bring in a little bit of a difference as to who will move forward. Let's see what happens. The timing remains the same. The score pattern remains the same. It's time for you to rely on your guts. Here it is. I've got 12 questions for you in this segment, so you've got a fair amount to play around with and score. So if you could hold your buzzers up, we start with the first one on your screens now. Who bought RTKFT, a virtual goods studio, for a rumored amount of about $100 million, essentially to create NFTs in the sneaker category? Which brand? Pradunma has gone for it. Yes.
I mean, I see the Nike logo, so I guess Nike.
Well played on that, because Nike was also in the news for a lot of sneaker brands trying to imitate the Nike logo in some form. This actually is Nike getting into that business by acquiring RTFKT. The trick was whether it was Nike or the imitations that they were worried about. He took a half chance. Sometimes courage matters in a quiz like it does in life. As we go to the next one on your screen now. This has become a mandatory symbol. What does it now represent? Tushar has gone for it. Yes, Tushar?
Hand sanitizer.
Well played. Post the pandemic, today a compulsory symbol, especially at public places, hospitals, etc., is a hand sanitizer, which earlier represented other things. Today it has been standardized to a hand sanitizer. He'll get himself a 75, so people are beginning to move up slowly. As we go to the next one, or before we go to the next one, well, come and talk of health and hygiene. Tata 1mg is also one of our supporters here, and they are strong advocates of that, as well as wellness, which is so important. And simple things like a sanitizer can give you a lot of wellness. Tata 1mg can have a lot of nice ones for you as options. As we move to the next question, hands on the buzzer, question on your screen. Overall answer matters. Lateral thinking coming up. Here it is. It's a great giant, one company that would connect you to all these in the petroleum game. Which oil giant is the overall answer? Swarn is taking his shot at it. Yes, Swarn.
Is it Standard Oil?
Beautifully played. Beautifully played. When you've got such big names, BP, Marathon, Exxon Mobil, Chevron, it's always difficult to think what more than all of this. Extremely well played. Standard Oil it is. He gets a 75. He gets off the mark. Moving on to the next question here today on your screen. Here it is. Pradyumna has gone for it and gone for it quickly. Yeah, Pradyumna?
Yeah, so the answer is ITC. All of these are brands owned by ITC.
He's got that absolutely right. He'll get himself a 75 on that. And I think that takes him to 150. So he'll feel comfortable at that position as he level scores with Tushar. As we move to the next one on your screens, let's see what they make of this. Overall group is what I need from you. Here it is. Some of these are international names. Swarn has gone for it. Yes? The answer is very...
India Today.
Sorry?
India Today.
Beautifully played. Beautifully played. He sometimes comes out with these really good answers in the lateral thinking ones. He got Standard Oil. He's got India Today. So he processes multiple elements well. Is Swarn, and that takes him to 150 as well. We seem to be having good contenders who'll score big. As we go to the next one on your screens, here it is. I think he risked it. Go ahead. Pradyumna.
I did risk it.
Yes, you did.
CC of factory issue.
I need an overall answer. I need an answer.
So I'll go with HUL.
Minus 75. We left Hindustan Unilever on that book cover because the answer is not Unilever. Well, Sudhir Sitapati surely is the man who's behind that book which speaks about Unilever, but he's now moved on from there. The overall answer is actually Godrej Consumer Products. So, ladies and gentlemen, a minus 75 there to Pradyumna as we move to the next one. He's gaining and losing, but he's playing aggressively. On to the next one. Let's see what happens here on your screens. Here's your question. This is a story about which bank? The bank that lived a little dash in the age of the very free market. The bank catapulted itself to fame. Swarn has gone for it. Yes, Swarn? There's really nothing there that will help you beyond what I read out.
Barclays.
Beautiful. Beautifully played. He's got that right. Barclays it is, and I think that will take the young lad from HBTU Kanpur into the lead. I'm doing mental arithmetic, but I think he's in the lead. Let's see what happens on the next one on your screen now. This is two important words. Pradyumna.
I don't be evil is the tagline of Google, so I'll go with Google.
Sorry?
Like, don't be evil is the tagline of Google, right?
Yes.
So I'm guessing this is like the case against big tech companies.
Well played. Extremely well played. The case against big tech companies, and that became a sort of an acronym to represent a lot of people. Very well thought through. Big tech, the two words. Rana's book on a rather important topic, very interesting one though. Let me move on, not get into my book obsessions. Here's the next question as he gets another 75, and the next question appearing on your screens now. This is a phenomenal story. Faster, higher, farther. Swaran has gone for it. Which company? Your mic, Swaran. Swaran, your mic is on mute. Yeah.
Is it Volkswagen?
Well
Volkswagen.
played. Well played on Volkswagen. He's got that absolutely right. The inside story of Volkswagen scandal. On to the next one on your screens as he moves to, I think, 300. Here is the next one coming up now. How did we know them? Pradyumna has gone for it. Yes?
So, Blinkit is the right now name of Grofers.
Well played.
Grofers was the old.
Well played. He'll get a 75 and he'll inch closer to Swarn. Well, Uttar Pradesh has their nerves building up. Understandably so. Rapala needs one more good answer and he's going to be in contention as well. Tushar looked good. He needs to be a little more consistent. Pradyumna's chasing Swarn. As we go to the next one, two more remaining, after which I'll show you the scores on screen. Here is the next question coming up now. This is Mark Listasella. Which Tata company would you associate to him? Pradyumna has gone for it very quickly. Yes.
I say Tata Motors Locos.
Well played. Extremely well played. He's got that right, and I think he's got level with Swarn. It's battle lines being drawn, but we'll reconfirm that after this question. Final one on your screen. Here it is. What is his position in the government of India? His name is V. Nageshwaran. Extremely important person currently in India. Nobody on? No! Swarn just in the nick of time. Yeah, Swarn.
Is it chief advisor, like economic advisor to government of India?
The chief economic advisor to the government of India. 75 to you. He's playing the game with a battle on his hands. Pradyumna was also buzzing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, on the other side of the break, I'm going to tell you where this binge board is heading, and it is an outstanding one. Reflects the caliber and the quality that we always get to see at Uttar Pradesh. But all of that on the other side of this very quick break. Stay with us. Two frontiers of this battle completed here from Uttar Pradesh. It certainly seems to be a battle between 3 or 4 of them who have a potential chance. It could, over the next couple of questions, just become a head-to-head battle between Swarn and Pradyumna. But before we get back to that battle, let me ask you a couple of audience questions. Here's one for you. In the medieval ages, this dish was actually called numbles, N-U-M-B-L-E-S. It was basically a common dish among the peasants. A phrase came into existence in the modern world from the act of consuming these numbles. What is the phrase that came from eating these numbles? Key in your answers. Here is one more question to you. All you school kids will enjoy this. It's a branch of mathematics. It owes its name to the fact that it formerly dealt with activities or affairs of a state. Therefore, the name. All you got to tell me is what form of mathematics. Key in your answers into that chat box as we get back to the campus edition of Tata Crucible. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're with me, Big Brain, here today, the campus edition 2022 of Tata Crucible. And I tell you what, before we progress any further, let's take a look at the binge board on your screen. 375 to Swarn. He's binging, but he's not safe. Pradyumna on 300 is right behind him. Tushar is 1 hit away. When Tushar reaches 225, life becomes a lot easier. It's like, you know, difference between 12 runs to get and 6 runs to get. Psychologically, it's very, very different then. So all Tushar needs is to close that gap with one answer. And life can be very, very different for him after that. Ripala needs 2 or 3 to crack, and we'll have to do that reasonably quickly. Else, the battle's going to be head-on between Pradyumna and Swarn. The next couple of questions will tell us that. As we move into the final frontier of our game here today, it's time for the contestants to go for glory. Here it is. On to the final frontier of our game here today. It is a super contest, as one would expect from a wonderful state like Uttar Pradesh. 300, 375, 150, 75, all too close for comfort. As we go into this final frontier, well, literally they have to go for glory, but it's our moment here today to celebrate 75 years of Indian independence. Here at Tata Crucible, as this nation observes and salutes people on Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, in our own way, inimitable in the way you would call it, we would like to pay a tribute and celebrate and salute great brands, great pioneers in the world of business, great economists, great campaigns that led, built and shaped 75 years of Indian independence. All right, guys, hands up. We'll move straight into the round. Final 6 questions. It's going to be crucial. Swarn, if you could sit back a little, please. You're too close to the camera. Yeah, great. That's a better view. Starting with the first one as we celebrate India, 6 of them. Let's see, these 6 questions will help whom to get into the nation's top 24. As we start with the first one, on your screens now. This is Ripala. He's gone in a flash. Yes. Go ahead, Ripala. Amul campaign, what happened?
Yeah, sorry.
Minus 75. He really just wanted to get ahead, probably. Leena Nair, a lady from Indian origin, like the men who've been leading a lot of companies, became the CEO of Chanel. A big moment for India in the world of fashion, truly reflecting India's capability in corporate leadership in 75 years. A negative to Ripala on that. As we go to the next one, he loses that 75 that he was on, trying to get forward. On to the next question on your screens Now, Seth Jay Dayal Goyanka, a very important man in the history of our country, decided to publish, or rather, a few devotees of his persuaded him to publish his interpretations. Kaustub's gone for it. Stopping me from my narration. Yes?
Gitambar.
You got to give me a better answer.
Sat Jagdayal Goenka published the Gitambar
World
as his memoir.
of business.
World of
Still give it to you, Kaustub. You came really close and it's a high quality. Gitambar, yes, became Gita Press. So give it to you on that one. Kaustub gets a 75. We've got 4 questions to go. As we go to the next one, hands on the buzzer. Gita Press giving a 75 to Kaustub. I will grant that to him because that's a high quality answer for him to get. On to the next one on your screens. Here it is. This is an important man, Mr. Nambiyar. He started manufacturing panel meters for defense forces way back in the 60s. Initially from Kerala in India, the man's journey is known to be legendary. The 1982 Asian Games convinced him to enter consumer electronics and the television business in India. Pradyumna.
Consumer electronics, so I'll go with BPL. This is BPL number.
Absolutely right. He's got that absolutely right as Pradyumna. He moves on. I think that puts him on par with Swarn. So his battle lines drawn. BPL TV became extremely popular in India. They continue to be a powerhouse in the electronic space or the consumer electronic space. 3 questions remaining. Hands on the buzzer. Question on your screen now. People met at a Lahore residence. Pradyumna.
Punjab National Bank. So it was found in Lahore.
75 to him. He's got that absolutely right. And in super quick time, the battle between IIT Kanpur and HBTU Kanpur is becoming intense. 2 questions remaining, and this is really going down the line. On to the next one on your buzzers. Question appearing on your screen. Swaran, I need you to sit back a little bit, please. Yeah, you're coming too close for the camera. On to the next one on your screens. Here it is. This is an important man from Indian history of something that started as a private entity in 1935. Its share flotation in 35 was one of the largest IPOs in the country at that time. Its first head was Sir Osborne Smith. And Pradyumna.
RBI was found in 1935. I heard Osborne Smith and I went with that because he is the governor.
Pradyumna is all excited like he probably had a few sips of Red Bull in between the quiz. He's got it right. Oh, relax. Okay. Pradyumna on 500, I think, or 500 plus with that answer. He's really played like MS Dhoni in the last couple, or well, since all of you are from Uttar Pradesh, should I say KL Rahul? Well, he's the man who's led you all through the IPL that India enjoyed. And what a classical player. Pradyumna really powering it towards the end of this quiz here. As we go to the final question on your screens now. What was this initiative that changed India in many ways in terms of democratizing network? Tushar's gone for it. Yes, Tushar.
Mobile number portability.
Very well played. Very well played. Tushar's been very confident when he answered, but he does not take too many risks. I've been quite impressed with his answers, except that he chooses not to answer too many. Well, he's got to change that approach and buzz more often in a quiz. You guys can keep your buzzers down as we've completed this edition from Uttar Pradesh, an absolutely nail-biting one. Why do I make that statement? Here's the binge board. On 375, Swarn could have won in many cities of India. At Uttar Pradesh, a 375 does not get you a title. With 525, Pradyumna from IIT Kanpur emerges the champion with all his high energy and fist pumping. He will force his way into the nation's top 24. Not to take anything away from anyone else. It's a huge state, huge participation, lakhs take part. Like I said, 7 million people watch Tata Crucible on the internet over the last couple of years. That is massive. But congratulations to these young minds of India to whom the future of this nation belongs. So ladies and gentlemen, with us here today to congratulate these wonderful youngsters is a young leader from the Tata fraternity. He heads TCS's initiatives in this large state of Uttar Pradesh. He's been the person behind all the development that has happened in Varanasi, and he spearheads a branch which has always worked with government to create solutions for India. It's indeed our pleasure and privilege, ladies and gentlemen, to have with us the head of Tata Consultancy Services from Uttar Pradesh, Mr. Amitabh Tiwari. Thank you so much, Amitabh, for joining us. Wonderful to have you, as always, at a Tata Crucible. These are hugely talented youngsters. You and me are more than aware of the kind of talent UP has. What's your reaction and advice to these youngsters?
It is amazing, as you said, Giri. I mean, if the other participant would have been participating in some other state, clearly he would have been the winner. The kind of talent that we have in Uttar Pradesh, and because of the size of the state in terms of population, the competition becomes quite tough, and it is so heartening to see everybody performing so well. Each one of you performed so well. Only that we have ample of talent, and that presents us with an ample of opportunities. Just taking example of TCS, the way we have been growing in the state, it's amazing. Whether it's Varanasi or it's Lucknow and other parts of India like MP and Bihar, the talent is immense. It is for us to go ahead and grab the opportunities, and opportunities are in ample. It is for us to go and grab them.
So well said. And it also reflects that both of us would recall there was a point in time in UP when a typical final in Lucknow would mean 6 contenders or 6 teams from IIM Lucknow. That is changing. Then it became IIT Lucknow versus IIT Kanpur versus IIM Lucknow. Then HBTU came in, and now today the competition is so much. It's really wonderful for a state like that. Really heartening, and you're so true. It's so diverse, the talent pool with a sheer large state like that. So well said. We'll have you hold on for a moment more as we do the honors digitally. Our runner-up here today from HBTU Kanpur, Swarn. He'll win himself 18,000 for that effort of his. He came really close with 375, put up a huge fight, but towards the end, Pradyumna was simply too fast for him to handle. To be fair to Swarn, I think he was also buzzing on those questions. He was actually getting agitated, saying the buzzer didn't go fast enough. But Pradyumna was not just correct, he was fast as well. That brings us to our champion here today, Pradyumna, 35,000 to him from IIT Kanpur. He shows very important qualities that are required in the modern world. Agility, ability to process things at speed and yet remain focused on what needs to be done. Superb traits for a youngster like him as he marches into the top 24 of this country as the Uttar Pradesh champion. And that's a tough title to always get. Congratulations to both of you, and truly appreciate our guest of honor for standing in and giving in those beautiful quick pieces of advice to you youngsters. Thank you so much to Amitabh, our guest of honor here today. Ladies and gentlemen, that then the Uttar Pradesh final with Pradyumna from IIT Kanpur marching into the top 24 of this country as our 15th champion for the 2022 edition of Campus Crucible. To all of you, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with the next cluster. Till then, from my young colleague Rashmi Furtado, from me, Pig Brain, to all of you watching this exciting season, thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.